How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Lobby Up. Matt is currently out of the studio molting because he's a lizard. Speaking of lizards, today I'll be talking about the king of all monsters himself, Godzilla. Let me tell you guys, there is no better time to be a Godzilla fan than right now. With Godzilla -1 coming to Western Shores and the new Monarch series out on Apple TV, we are eating better than Zilla at a tuna factory. And honestly, I'm all for it. I've been a Godzilla fan for as long as I could consume any sort of media, really. Thanks to those old VHS tapes, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and Godzilla 1985, I've been a kaiju fanatic my whole life. And I do mean kaiju fanatic. I have a whole Pokemon Go tag dedicated to my love of these giant beasts. Nothing brings my love of kaiju and my love of video games together like a good old-fashioned Godzilla game. Specifically the GameCube classic, later ported to Xbox.
Godzilla, destroy all monsters. Melee.
Damn, that announcer voice is just chef kiss. Released in 2002, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee is regarded as one of the best kaiju fighters of all time, only being beat out on most lists by its successor, Godzilla Save the Earth, which I'll definitely be covering in a future video. For those who aren't in the know, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee is a 4-player kaiju extravaganza, and it's actually the first game in a trilogy of Godzilla games, starting out with, of course, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, followed by the previously mentioned Godzilla Save the Earth, which is regarded as the best in the series, and then it was topped off by the mediocre and not so loved Godzilla Unleashed, which didn't get favorable reviews. It's honestly far outshined by Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee and Godzilla Save the Earth. But let's not focus on the negative. Let's go ahead and get into Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee. Man, I really wish I had his voice. I must say, for a first outing for a Godzilla game, especially since up until this point in 2002, Godzilla didn't have a video game release since Super Godzilla on the Super Nintendo. So there was no preconceived notion of what could be a 3D Godzilla video game. And honestly speaking, they hit it out of the park. I feel that the developers at Pipeworks Studios just had a ball in bringing to life the campiness of the Showa-era Godzilla films, and they mixed it with tight, sharp, and honestly, pretty fast fighting game mechanics, and it really paid off in every single way. This game is popular for a reason, and that reason is plain and simple. This game is so much fun to play. My better half Matt was really never into Godzilla, and I just introduced him to the world of Godzilla not too long ago thanks to the Monsterverse. But when I brought up Destroy All Monsters, his immediate reaction was to gush about how many hours he sank into this freaking phenomenal game. And truth be told, that's probably the story for a lot of people out there. People who never really cared for Godzilla or knew him on a very base surface level, and they put this game on a Friday night that they rented from Blockbuster, got some pizza, brought a whole bunch of friends over, and then just went crazy on this monster-sized fighting game. And that's a beautiful thing, really. I'm always a fan of games that can introduce people to a new IP that they've never heard of. I have a lot of games in my library that I've played before that introduced me to a whole new world of storytelling and just overall a freaking awesome IP. I may be giving the developers too much credit here, but I can't help but to feel that they were really particular in which characters would be in this game. I feel like deep down they knew that this game would introduce a whole new generation to the Godzilla IP, and they chose only the best and most recognizable kaiju for this game. And that is the spiked armadillo Anguirus, the beast Destroya, our favorite chicken reaper Gigan, the arch nemesis King Ghidorah, also making an appearance in his mecha form, the Tin Beast himself, Mechagodzilla. And Xbox got a special treat, they got Mechagodzilla Mark III as well. Moving along, we also have the deadly beetle himself, Megalon, the terror in the sky, Rodan, the creature from outer space, Orga, and of course, the king of all monsters himself, Godzilla, making his debut in his 90s form and in my personal favorite design, Godzilla 2000. These beautiful kaiju got to make their grand entrance into the 3D video game space thanks to this game. And let me say, for a game that came out in 2002, these models look amazing. And at the time, for my second grade eyes, these freaking creatures look damn near photorealistic. So props to Pipeworks Studios. This game is just a treat to look at, let alone play. But speaking of play, let's get into the gameplay of this game. Earlier in the video, I was giving praise to just how wonderful the gameplay is. It's sharp, it's fast, and it's enjoyable. But let's talk about what a kaiju should play versus how a kaiju actually plays in this game. So the newer Godzilla game that came out recently is Godzilla for the PlayStation 4. And before you go trying to find this game to buy for your PS4 collection, let it be known that this game is about $200 on eBay. Don't get me started on that. I really wanted this game as a kaiju lover, but I'm not willing to drop $200 for a mediocre Godzilla game. So that actually moves along into my point of bringing this game up. This game went for the more realistic style of how a kaiju should play in a video game. And we're talking slow, very delayed movements. Meanwhile, Godzilla Destroy All Monster Melee said, you know what, bump that. We're gonna freaking play this game how we wish these monsters would move. And we're talking super fast pace, you know, Anguirus is rolling around like freaking Sonic the Hedgehog. Godzilla can pick up a building over his head and just chuck it at you. Rodan can like pick you up with his claws and just start flying around and tossing you across the stage. It's ridiculous. And while you're doing all this chaotic gameplay, you can get power-ups. You can get rage. You can call up Mothra to hook you up. Hedorah comes out of nowhere and just smogs everyone up, and your ability to use your special starts to deplete. The army's there, and they start shooting you with tanks. It's just very chaotic, very campy, and campy in a good way. Even going into the adventure mode, which is basically the arcade ladder for this game. The whole premise is aliens show up to Earth, and they're just trying to take it over. Point blank. No crazy lore, no people that you have to worry about their backstories, or it's just alien bad, Godzilla's gonna beat your ass. Point blank. And that's the way it should be. Honestly, that's the way it should be. The game should just go straight to it, and that's exactly what it does. It pits a bunch of big ass monsters against each other, and you just fight each other. So you move through this ladder, you go through different cities, you know, San Francisco, Monster Island, Tokyo, the works. You know, if you've seen it in a Godzilla movie, or if you can think of a major city that some kaiju would fight in, it's in this game. But honestly, we don't even care about the stages. You put me on the moon, put me on Mars, put me in Mascot, Florida. I don't really care, as long as I can be Godzilla 2000 and just like atomic breath you right in the fucking face. And after atomic breathing everyone in the face, you end up on the Vortak mothership, which is the name of the aliens, and you end up either fighting Mechagodzilla, and if you're playing as Mechagodzilla, you will fight Mecha King Ghidorah. And that honestly is the best stage in the whole game. If there's a stage worth mentioning, it's that one. It's completely different from all the other ones. Everything looks futuristic and spacey, and honestly, it's a treat to play in. After beating the game, you get the cheesiest cutscene of the Vortak leader warning you that they will be back. And honestly, it's worth going ahead and playing.
Ah, your monster has defeated our ultimate weapon and escaped. Our campaign to seize your planet has been thwarted. For now. But we will return, Earthlings. We will return.
If that doesn't scream B-movie, then I don't know what else will. And I say that in the most respectable way possible. This game encompasses what makes Godzilla great and fun, and it's that B-movie cheesiness, and I'm all about it, man. They did such a good job with the aliens in this game, and spoilers, they do come back. But that's for another day. When you look at the other modes, the objective is still the same. Be a big-ass kaiju and just destroy. And that's actually the name of one of the modes, Destruction, which is basically in the name, destroy as much as possible. Whoever does the most amount of property damage wins, and it goes off a point system. Definitely love that mode. Melee, which is just like Super Smash Bros. 4 players can fight it out. Whoever beats all the other players is the winner of that match. We had survival mode, so you basically just keep on fighting. Every time you win, your health does not replenish, and then you fight up the next big monster, and you keep doing it until one of the monsters beat you. You had team battle, you had versus mode, and honestly, a mode that I spent a lot of time in as a kid was the gallery mode. I was a big old kaiju nerd, so I got a chance to just sit there and gawk at these beautiful kaiju models, man. And I remember just sitting there and just using my second grade imagination on scenarios that I could concoct. What would Godzilla 2000 do if he was jumped by King Ghidorah and Mecha Godzilla at the same time? It was a very blissful time being that age playing these kind of games. And people say modern gaming lost its soul, and I don't think that we're in that era yet. I think there's plenty of games out there that still have a soul and don't rely on these crazy microtransactions, but gaming in that time era, those early 2000s, late 90s, and even the mid 2000s, it was really special. And it does come along with the fact that we were kids at that time, and we still had our imagination, and we weren't jaded by our lives and by the stressors that we deal with, and we still got to just enjoy the little things. And Godzilla Destroy All Monsters definitely was that. I mean, we're talking about a game that was still in the era of cheat codes. I did not unlock all of the monsters the way you're supposed to. I used the cheat code, the unlock all kaiju cheat code, and that's how I got straight into getting to play with Orga. It was a good time, and I gotta say that I have gone back to play old games, and the nostalgia goggles were 100% on. And when I went back to play them as an adult, I was thoroughly disappointed. It was like the magic was gone. But I can say with the utmost confidence and with the utmost reverence for a game, because not many games I can say this about, this game holds up. If it was fun in 2002, it is fun in 2023. And if you get a bunch of friends and have some drinks and laugh it up and have a good time, this game is elevated to when I was a kid. So if you haven't played Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee, I would say this is a must-play game. And honestly, I would actually recommend its successor, Godzilla Save the Earth, but we're talking about Godzilla Destroy All Monsters, and this is the OG. This is the one that started it. This brought in Godzilla. It was one big step for Godzilla in video games, and it was a kaiju jump for a game that just went into my heart. So go out and play this game, enjoy it, love it, and until next time, thanks for lobbying up with me. Have a good one.